I think one of the first opportunities I had to figure out how to be happy in a challenge in my adult life happened in my first marriage. I don't talk about it publicly very often. I try to be respectful to all the circumstances and know that I was far from perfect in that instance. But when we were in the midst of really, really hard things, someone gave me the book by Sarah Breathnach called Simple Abundance. And that book is actually quite beautiful, and it's almost 25 years old now, but it was about, there were different things you can read every single day. And there were also things you could do for the season, action items and strategies. And there were also a few success principles that she had at the beginning of the book that she kept harping on. And one of them was keeping a gratitude journal. And I remember in the space that I was that was quite negative, I thought, Sarah Breathnach, if you had any idea what was happening in my life, you would know I could not keep a gratitude journal. Well, she kept talking about it and she kept coming back to it in the book. And finally I said, okay, fine, I will keep a gratitude journal. But then in a month, I'm going to email Sarah Breathnach and say, neener, gratitude does not solve all the problems. And so I found an old journal that I had partially used for a notebook for school. I ripped out those pages and I started to write 5 things a day at her request. Now, she wasn't talking to me directly. Let me just be clear. I was just having an imaginary conversation with her through the course of this process. But I started to write down simple things like I was grateful for a roof over my head, even though the sewer came up in the shower. True story. I'm grateful for a car, even though it's in the shop. I'm grateful for my health. I'm grateful for my friends. And it was all very simple things. It was about day 10 or day 11 where things started to shift. In the middle of the day, something good would happen. And I would say to myself, I could put that in my gratitude journal. And so I started to put more specific things in there. And after a while, I recognized that even though I was in the middle of a big challenge, there were lots of ways I was being preserved, protected, and even helped throughout my life that I just was blind to them. I couldn't see them anymore. And that gratitude journal opened up my eyes again to show me people, circumstances, and even little miracles that were showing up in the midst of my deepest heartache. And I started to notice more friends who called unexpectedly or just stopped by, a boss who added a little extra to a check one time, and little things that added up to mean that I knew I was going to be okay, and I knew that there was more to life than just the challenge that was right in front of me. And so instead of sending an email to Sarah Breathnach saying, of course this wouldn't work, I sent an email to her thanking her for encouraging me to look outside myself to find the things that were going right rather than focusing on the things that were going wrong. To this day, I still have that practice. I write down 5 things I'm grateful for almost every night. I do forget when I'm out of town and getting back into the habit of things. And so sometimes a few days and then a couple weeks will go by, and then I'll pull the book out again. But it has become one of my biggest treasures because it saved me. It did not save me from my circumstances. I ended up getting a divorce. It did not save me from the heartbreak. It was one of the hardest things I've ever done. And even as I look back on that experience, it did not change anything about the challenges that were happening around me, but it changed the way I approach them. If you want to live your happiest life and be someone who doesn't just look on the bright side, but lives there, it starts with where you focus. When you focus your mind on the things that are going right rather than the things that are going wrong, you actually can see a little more perspective that will help you through your challenges. It doesn't make them better. It doesn't fix them or make them easier. Some cases it will, but more often than not, your challenges will still be right in front of you, but will help you take more of a bird's eye view to your life rather than tunnel vision focus on the thing that's going wrong. Since then, I wish I could say I haven't had any challenges. I wish I could say that it's all been a hop, skip, and a jump to my happily ever after. But life is tricky and hard. My relationships are hard. Raising kids is hard. Growing a business is hard. I've had numbers of failures and businesses that have failed and businesses that haven't grown as fast as I wanted and friendships that went different directions. And There are legitimate challenges, not just in the walls of our own homes, but happening at school and at work and in the community and in our neighboring countries and in our economy. And as we focus on the things that are going wrong, it's really hard to find solutions. And I love the opportunities for us to be able to look outside of those individual challenges to see that there is still so much good happening around us. We make so much, we make better decisions with perspective than we do with fear. And when we're only focusing on those parts that are going wrong or the challenges that are there, it makes it difficult. Now, some of you might be saying that you're not sure you can keep a gratitude journal, or maybe you'd rather keep it on your phone, or maybe you're looking for some different solutions. If there is a dude watching this thinking that only gratitude journals only work for women, I remember sitting in a room of 1,200 people with David Bach, who is a multi-time New York Times bestselling author, and he keeps a gratitude journal and will equate it to his success. Because when he gets rejections or when he doesn't get what he wants or a speaking engagement falls through, he still can see the good that is happening in his world. And so my challenge for you is to find ways to not just express gratitude, but to keep track of it. Whether it's on a journal that you write down, which I think is great because it sends the right signals to your brain, or even in your phone, but there are a lot of other ways to do it. My friend Ashley Miller talked to me and shared with me how sometimes she just walks through her home and goes to every room in the house, small houses and big houses, it doesn't matter, but what are you grateful for in that room, or what does that room mean to you? And why are you grateful for what's in it or for the opportunities that it provides? You can also have an opportunity where if you're in a really tricky situation and you're trying to get answers, and maybe those 5 things that you write down at the end of the day are either too far away because you need it now, or if you know you need to go a little bit deeper, you can try the A to Z gratitude process, where you come up with something from the letter A. I am grateful for my husband, Aaron. B, I am grateful for best friends. C, I am grateful for cookies. It doesn't matter what the list is. Obviously, you want to say real things that matter to you, but there can be different gratitude practices for different times in your life. And it doesn't just have to be a seasonal holiday thing that happens in November. When you have a practice of gratitude regularly, then it will help you to create a less myopic experience. One of my favorite quotes is, "Joy has little to do with the circumstances in our lives and everything to do with the focus of our lives." It's a Russell Nelson quote that I remember over and over again. And where we focus matters. And if we're focusing on all the things that are going wrong, then of course we're going to feel sad and depressed and feel like we have no way to get out of it. But when we focus on what's going right and all the good that's happening around us, we have a better way to lift ourselves out of our challenges. And from that place, we can find solutions. That doesn't necessarily mean that we'll solve our problems overnight, but we can only find the path and the way through when our focus is on growth and on the positive things that are happening around us. For those of you who are thinking gratitude can't possibly solve this current challenge, I don't think it will, but it might help you to navigate it a little bit better. So think about the ways you can express gratitude in a regular practice. Remember that success is not a destination, it's a practice, which means that, like me, you might fall out of practice with it from time to time, but it's the returning of it, even when you forget, that will change your heart and will keep you moving forward on the practice of becoming who you want to become. We're committed to your high performance and happiness, and it's also work that you get to do on your journey and that you get to continue to do over and over again, but don't give up. These are just one of my favorite practices and one of my favorite tips for living your happiest life. I hope that you will find ways to infuse gratitude into your world. Share with me in the comments some of your favorite ways to do that. And I would love to hear your gratitude stories. How has it helped you, changed you, or helped you move forward? And we wish you the best in living your happiest life.